Hi, I'm Bronwyn Bulwer, and I'm here with Megan and Ali, and we're talking about their journey with IT Heavy Hitters. Thanks, ladies, for being with us this morning.
No worries.
No worries.
I'd love to know, when was the moment that you decided to take part in the fight? I'll start with you, Megan.
That's a good question. When Mike Dawes messaged me to say I needed to be in the fight camp. Yeah. So I've previously done this before in Wellington.
Okay.
And been involved in IT Heavy Hitters for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so had a fight down in Wellington and then managed one of the teams there for a few years.
Okay.
So recently moved to Auckland at the start of the year, and Mike said that they were lacking girls and that I had to sign up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You stepped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And you, Ali?
For me, it's been a bit of a bucket list thing. So I've been training and doing box fit for about 2 or 3 years, and I sort of wanted to learn a bit of the boxing technique and do a fight. So it's been on my bucket list for a while. And so I had seen Dan Hooker had put on his Instagram that he was one of the trainers, and I thought it was a really good opportunity because they're really good trainers. So that's how I started.
Yeah. And what did it mean to you to get into the ring? Like, what was your motivation behind it?
So initially it was just a bucket list thing for me, but personally I haven't really been affected by anyone who's committed suicide or anything like that. But crazy enough, during the fight camp, one of my workmates actually took his own life in the middle of it. And so that was really, I think, it really put a face to what we were actually doing for me, because for me at the time when I signed up, it was definitely just a bucket list thing, something I wanted to do, and the added bonus was that the money went to a charity. But I think it was really eye-opening for me, and just having that happen in the workplace and seeing, going to his funeral, having everyone in the industry talk about it, because he'd been in the industry for 25 years. It was quite a big shock for all of us. Yeah.
And for you, Max?
Yeah, I kind of have a car crash of a career of my life, where my mum died in the CTV building, and then followed on from a series of really unfortunate events, like 2 to 3 every year since then, which included people within my family and my close friend unit with depression and anxiety. So yeah, I just really wanted to get the message out there, and I'm still really passionate about getting the message out there. Yeah.
What was the hardest thing for you, Ali, about the training?
Probably getting hit and hitting people. That was probably the biggest thing for me. So, I've been doing box fit for a while, but it was quite different actually going in there, and I suppose getting hit was the biggest thing for me. I remember our first training session when we were doing sparring, and I was very lucky, and I got partnered up with someone who had been training for a very long time. I kept getting hit in the face, and I was just over it. And I remember sitting there and actually thinking to myself, do I want to keep doing this? Because I was just so overwhelmed by it, because and then I remember going home to my husband and even saying, I don't think I'm going to carry on training, because it was really overwhelming and that kind of thing. But and he did say to me, look, it's not for everyone, because he used to fight professionally and do MMA, and he had said, look, it's not for everyone. Not everyone has that in them and doesn't mind getting hit in the face and hitting people back and that kind of thing, because I did find that a struggle as well, actually, being like, I'm going to hit you in the face right now. I mean, I've known you for the last couple of weeks, but now I'm going to hit you in the face. But so that was quite hard for me to actually go into training after that. But it's something I really wanted to see through, and it's something that I really wanted to make sure that I did. And if you think about it, a lot of the people that we were essentially fighting for have had that same battle in their head about whether or not they want to continue, and a lot of people have managed to get through that and do it. So I think me doing what I consider to be quite a small thing compared to what other people have faced, I think that was definitely a motivator for me to help me.
Yeah, beautifully said. And for you, you've obviously had experience with it before.
Yeah, I think this particular camp was probably one of the hardest that I've done, and that's probably because of the balance of life. So I've got a young son, under 2 years old who has a serious illness as well. So and us moving to Auckland, not knowing anyone. My husband struggles from depression and anxiety. So it was a really hard to juggle all of the training with family life, work commitments. So I think it, although it was a real struggle to do it, it was hugely rewarding as well. So, yeah.
In those moments where it was really hard and you wanted to give up, what stopped you from giving up? What made you keep going?
I don't give up anything. So that's just who I am, and it's my upbringing from my parents. So yes, if it's more of a challenge, then I'll dig deeper. Yeah, I think that's just part of who I am. Yeah.
Really strong. And you, Ali, you alluded to your husband sort of, encouraging you, but what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know before?
I think for me, it sort of helped me open up a bit more. I'm generally quite a shy person, but just being in the fight camp and having people who are really, really lovely, honestly, the bunch of people that I met through the fight camp have been like some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They're just so motivating. I just felt open to talking to people about, what I was going through and how hard I was finding it. I remember Jo, I used to train quite closely with Jo because she was one of the few short people in the fight camp. And I remember her telling me, because I was honestly just feeling so deflated, and I was sitting there because I was getting hit in the face all the time, and she just came out to me and she said, just trust in your guard, because I was too scared to put my hands up, because I thought if I put my hands up or moved my hands I was going to get hit even more. And she just said that to me, and she said, trust in your guard, you've trained for so long, you know what to do, just keep your hands up and you'll be fine. And having those people encourage you and push you through it, I think that was really great.
I was sitting behind a lot of your supporters on the night.
Oh no.
They were really enthusiastic.
I've heard from quite a few people that they heard my trainer from my gym just yelling the whole time. So yeah.
And what was it like on the night, coming into your song? What was your song?
So my song was Rage Against the Machine, and it's the song that I often use when training to really help motivate me. So I knew that as soon as I'd heard that, I'd just get very excited and that kind of thing. But I remember actually talking to Mike King before, and he said to me, apparently most people, when they're fighting for the first time, they actually get so overwhelmed by everything that they start running, and they use 40% of their energy running to the ring before they even fight. And I remember thinking that, I said, don't do that, and I started sprinting as soon as I heard it. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, you idiot. You were just telling yourself not to do that and you did that.
And for you, you've obviously had experience in the ring before, but what was different about this night?
I think it was different because I didn't have my normal support network from Wellington. I had the coaching camp from Wellington that I was used to be coached by flew up for the fight. And I also fought someone who was from the Wellington camp, so they weren't actually in the opposition Auckland team. So different style of fighting. She was huge in all senses of the word, and she had a massive sort of following as well. So I think it was different not having like the normal people that would scream for you. I just wasn't used to the warm-up style and stuff that we did. So yeah, it was completely different to anything I've experienced before.
And what was your fight song, and why was it special to you?
Mine was a Disturbed song. Sounds like we're just rockers, which we are.
Okay.
Bogans, I'm not sure. I'm originally from Christchurch, so I own the bogan. It's something that's music that motivates me to do stuff, and it always sounds strange. Even though it's heavy metal music, it always makes me feel better. So yeah, it was something motivating to come into.
Yeah. And how did you feel after the fight?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Oh my God. I got smashed. So I had to call it because I could feel that my head, like something moved in my brain. I just felt this sloshing in my head, and I just didn't feel right. So yeah, I was absolutely gutted, to be honest, right immediately after the fight. But then upon reflection, it was just was just a complete mismatch, and I just don't think I had the right focus on the day. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But you win some and lose some, so I'm now 1 for 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
just got to go back and flip it over, win the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was the whole bigger picture of it too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And for you, Ali, how did you feel after?
I lost my fight as well, but I actually felt amazing afterwards. I remember actually going back because my trainer was sitting with me for like a good half hour, and we had a heart-to-heart because he was sort of, I think he thought that I'd be really bummed out, but I was actually really over the moon because I just felt like I gave it 110%. If I trained any more or anything, I don't think I would have done any better. She was the better fighter on the night, and I was really proud of myself for making it through the 3 rounds as well. So yeah, I mean, I came in there to go in there and fight, and I did that, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what surprised you about the journey? Was there anything that was different to how you expected it to be, or something you learned about yourself?
I actually thought it would be a breeze. I was like, oh yeah, I've been training for a while, it'll be so easy, 14 weeks, that's fine. It's only 3 times a week, I train 5 times a week anyway, it's fine. And it was so much harder than I thought it would be. Like, I think it's just mentally quite challenging because I wasn't used to, I suppose like feeling like I'm gonna quit or I want to quit. So I've never had that before, but I suppose, being, sparring for the first time and that kind of thing, it was quite overwhelming, and I was ready to quit, and I've never had that feeling before. So I think it surprised me that I was able to get through it and make sure that that I would see it through to the end, kind of thing. Yeah.
And now looking ahead to other challenges, you can do
exactly.
it.
And I do feel, from the point of view of meeting all the different people and that kind of thing, I think it's made me realise, how different people are and the struggle that people go through and that kind of thing, because there were so many people in the camp who had their own story and their own reasons for doing things, and you don't really realise it. And as we got to know each other a bit more and find out why everyone was doing and all the different reasons, it was just really eye-opening for me. And I suppose from my point of view, it just makes me a little bit more sympathetic when I meet people in general in life, because you never know what people are going through.
And for you, Megs?
I think some of the most rewarding things about this camp was the team. So I was quite surprised, and I've been through quite a few camps where the teams haven't gelled that well, and we didn't have that many girls, 4 or 5, I think, max. So the guys were forced to fight us, and I'd smash them really, give as good as they got. And I was just really humbled by the way that they're really strong men that were really able to open up and be vulnerable with people that they've hardly met, and share their struggles, but also encourage. It was a really encouraging team. I think it was, I agree with what Ali had said, is that you never know what story people have. There's always a front that people put up when you meet them, but this, it was a great group of people. So I'm really humbled to have been a part of it.
Yeah, you could really sense that on the night. There was a unity in each team. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
You've touched on it a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit more how depression or suicide has impacted in your life?
Sure.
If you can, if you're comfortable. You can take your time. It's all good.
Sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I can. That's what I came here to do.
Just take your time.
The mascara.
It's all good.
Okay. My husband has struggled all of his life with deep depression, anxiety and ADHD, and he's such a superhuman. Of the love of my life, and I see him struggle every single day, and it's something that I just want people to be aware of, and make sure that they understand and appreciate people act in different ways, not because they intend to. And then just everyone needs love and support, really. He's gone through a whole heap of things and come out the other side and supported me through some really serious grief moments. So I've lost both my parents in really quick succession. Obviously one in the earthquake, and then I actually moved to Wellington, and my dad visited us for the first time, and he died visiting us. Yeah, suddenly. And yeah, it's just my family have been torn apart by earthquakes and depression and alcoholism and drug abuse. So it's just, yeah, I just can't believe that people are still so afraid to talk about it. And I think it's a shame that society let that happen. Yeah, but I guess for me it's just really, really close because my husband is the most amazing person, but yet he has the biggest demons in his head. And it's a struggle, and it puts a struggle on everything. And I just wish like workplaces and other things were more understanding. Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you say to loved ones who are watching their loved ones with depression? What would you say to them? What's the best thing to do, or what advice would you give them? I know it's really hard.
I think, and it's different for everyone, but from my own experience, I think it's about being there to listen, removing the judgmental comments and tone, because that's got me in a lot of trouble in the past. But it's literally being there and being okay, like being supportive and being there for whatever is needed. I'm a true believer in just waiting for my husband to be able to just chat when he wants, rather than pressure it. The more you put the pressure on, the more anxiety builds, and it's just a vicious circle. We never get anywhere. So yeah, just take the time and read up about the signs, because sometimes you don't know unless you're truly looking that someone's in trouble. Yeah.
I loved what you said, that he's a super guy and he's got these demons and this battle that he's fighting.
Yeah.
Because they can coexist at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a better person because he's gone through the depression, and he understands and has so much empathy and so much love for people and life. Like it is amazing to see that perspective as well.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks.
And Ali, how was it at work, when your colleague committed suicide? How did your team come together and handle that?
I think it was really amazing actually, because he was actually really passionate about mental health, and we were actually working on an industry-wide mental health project. So I think it was quite sad, and I mean, the industry came together really well. It was amazing. We got heaps of items to auction off from the radio industry. So both MediaWorks and NZME donated things like, I think we got like a record player worth $1,500, just all sorts of things. And the industry as a whole, because it affected so many people and he was friends with so many people, everyone sort of committed to doing things. Because, I mean, for me personally, because in a workplace, I suppose you don't really talk about your mental health struggles with people or anything like that. I didn't even know that he had bipolar, because he was one of the happiest people you'd ever met in all your life. And yeah, to know that he was struggling from bipolar and only realising that afterwards was, really, really strange. And I mean, even from my point of view, one of the closest people in the world to me is my sister. Me and my sister are really, really close. We talk about everything, and I actually only found out through a documentary that she was featured in. So my sister, I knew had postnatal depression after having her 2 kids, and I knew it was really overwhelming for her and that kind of thing. But she was in a documentary about postnatal depression, and she sent it to me, and she was like, oh, look, I've been featured in this. So I started watching it, and it was just really overwhelming because within the documentary for the first time in my life, I found out that my sister had thought about taking her own life.
Right.
And yeah, I think that was quite, it's quite hard hearing someone that you really care about thinking those thoughts and knowing that they hadn't opened up to you. Yeah, so that was quite difficult to hear that. Yeah, just, I mean, she's been amazing and she's a super mum and that kind of thing, and I thought she was coping really well, so it's quite hard to hear that, but yeah.
Really brave of her to do that.
Yeah, it was really brave of her and I'm so proud of her, but and you know, I think she's doing her master's thesis now and she's doing it on how things like social media affect people and mums in particular, because I think you know, you expect to do everything. Like my sister works and she's doing her master's thesis and she's got 2 kids under 4, and I think you put so much pressure on yourself, and I think, you know, you always feel like you're not good enough, and that's what my sister found all the time. She literally thought that her boys would be better off without her, and that was really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say now that you've been through this journey to anyone who's going through depression and is afraid to reach out because they're afraid of judgment or what people would say? What would you say to them?
I would say that, you know, I mean, even from my point of view, like my workmate, we weren't close or anything. I would never have gone to his house or anything like that, but, you know, and that's what we were all saying, we would all be prepared to listen to him. I think, you know, you get so caught up in your bubble of thinking that people are going to judge you and that, you know, you're afraid of what people will say and that kind of thing. But I think, especially nowadays, I think people are so aware of, you know, the effect that mental health has on people, and people are a lot more open to, you know, talking and listening, and yeah.
Yeah, true. And you, Mex?
Yeah, I agree with everything Ellie has said as well. I think if you're struggling, as much as it's so hard to communicate and let people know and be vulnerable, even with like your closest family members. I don't know, send a text or use emojis, like just in a way that you can, like my husband, we've got a code now, and we live in the gift world because we are in IT as well, unfortunately. So if he's not in a good space, he sends me like, you know, what he thinks is a funny gift, but it lets me know that, okay, so I need to keep a watch. Yeah, so the watch is on. So yeah, you don't actually have to pour your heart out to everyone to let them know. Just send some indications to some people.
Yeah.
Or call the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes speaking to someone you don't even know helps. You'd actually be surprised how many people say, oh, speaking to someone that doesn't know all my baggage and all that is actually so much easier than speaking to your wife, your mum or whoever.
Yeah, they don't have any preconceived idea
that's
of
right.
who you are.
And it's just an open air environment just to get it all out.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to say that, to tell someone that you feel like killing yourself, because the more that you let someone know, the more that they can help you, and you won't actually you won't get yourself into that bad space to do it.
Yeah. It's such an important conversation to have, and I'm so grateful to you both for having the courage to share your stories. So thank you for that. And thank you to our sponsors and all the team that made today possible.